Once the fan-favourite third brand in WWE, NXT has been reverted back to a successful developmental brand over the previous couple of years, and the format stays the same. Wrestlers coming from the indies are assigned from college, work away learning the WWE way of sports entertainment, and finally get called up to the main roster. Some superstars end up thriving on SmackDown and Raw, but some do end up flopping. This video happens to be one about positivity, as we're going to talk about some NXT superstars who could do really well on the main roster. Please keep away from the comments mentioning Tiffany Stratton. She's not in this list because the Rumble was apparently her call-up. But with that, I'm Toby, this is the main event, and these are 8 NXT wrestlers who will thrive on the main roster. Little spoiler, there will be a shout out at the end of the video, so stick around for that one. Trick Williams. Let's begin with one of the most popular NXT stars right now. Once a simple right-hand man to Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams finally overtook his partner to become a fan favourite, and rightfully so. What he lacks in in-ring talent, which isn't much, he makes up with an insane amount of charisma. No one can make you believe in them more than Trick Williams, and this seems to bleed somewhat into the main roster already. We saw prior to the Royal Rumble on SmackDown Trick come down to save Melo from Theory and Waller, and the crowd erupted into a massive chant of "Whoop that Trick." Surprisingly, apparently only 3 people watch NXT. A call-up and thrown into a big continuation mid-card rivalry with Carmelo after they finally split on NXT would be a strong start to the young talent's main roster run. An NXT title run seems very likely and very soon, so it would be some time till we see Trick on the main roster, but Raw or SmackDown would be getting a ready-made star. Bron Breakker. Right, before we begin, yes, he was in the Rumble, but he was just there to replace a certain former UFC heavyweight champion and was mentioned by Nick Aldis on the Raw after, but I'm getting this in before he hopefully shows up signed. Bron Breakker fits the whole vibe of, why the hell are you not on the main roster already? Alongside another superstar who we'll talk about later on. Bron's NXT run has been nothing less than fantastic. A dominant start through to winning the NXT Championship multiple times to turning heel and feeling like a monster. Also having the best spear in the business. It seems his time at NXT now has an asterisk beside it and it says, should be out of here soon. Bron's current heel persona on the main roster may be the perfect replacement for Roman when he finally takes a break after his reign, or for the former UFC heavyweight champion. Having him spearing names like AJ Styles, LA Knight, or Cody Rhodes out of their boots, it would give you a main eventer instantly, and he's already shown in NXT that he can hold that position very well. It doesn't matter what rivalry he is in, he always feels like the biggest star on the roster. Much like how Finn Balor and Seth Rollins were in their NXT tenures. At such a young age, Bron will be a star for many years in WWE. Fallon Henley. NXT TV has seemingly been very kind to Fallon Henley recently. Once the manager of Briggs & Jensen, she slowly broke out into wrestling more matches. She then went into having a big rivalry with Tiffany Stratton, having some brilliant bouts. Fallon looking more and more like she should be treated like a top talent in NXT. After basically winning the rivalry and having Tiffany work at her ranch, Fallon seems to be treated like a big deal, with the crowd seemingly behind her in a blue-collar image. It seems like we're about a year out of having Fallon up on Raw or SmackDown, but this does give her the chance to adapt her character and build it more. Now she's separated from Briggs & Jensen, she finally has the time to make herself a star. If she drags a character up to the main roster, it really could be something the crowd could get behind, because she doesn't fit the standard "I like to fight" image everyone seems to have. Wesley. It's been really interesting to see Wesley evolve. A lot of us may have remembered him being a tag team wrestler in Impact, now TNA, with the Rascals, and then MSK when he first came to NXT. After Zachary Wentz's firing, Wes was made to be a singles talent, which to be fair was unknown to us. Well, we were all wrong to question this decision because Wesley turned out to be incredible. A fantastic babyface talent entertaining us with some incredible skill and moves to make our jaws drop. He is great at keeping his grips through his promos also, building matches phenomenally. He already looks like someone who, if used correctly, could become someone's favourite wrestler on the main roster and instantly be featured in many title programs. Unfortunately, he's out injured at the moment, which could keep him out an entire year. And with his rivalry with Dominic Mysterio coming to an abrupt end, it would make sense for his return to happen on the main roster, as Wes already seems like a ready-made star. Lexis King. Let's set this straight. I may be a Lex offender. No shame. Since his debut at the back end of 2023, the former Brian Pillman Jr. has been an interesting character in WWE. It's almost like he's trying to be cool, but he's actually the most uncool person in the room. saying stupid stuff all the time and just messing up acts that would make someone look cool in a gangster film. Like, remember when he tried to put his glasses in a pocket that wasn't there? What a daft sod. It almost feels like a really well thought out gimmick that almost feels too real. This silly nonsense may come across well on the main roster, however. Sure, Lexis won't become world champion anytime soon, his act won't take him that far. But he could definitely be in a position that Elias had where he would be getting something every week, whether a comical backstage segment or a match as either enhancement or a legit threat. Roxana Perez. Remember in Bron Breakker's entry I said about the other person who should be on the main roster by now? Roxanne is that person. What feels like a year of wasting momentum, Roxy has been more than ready to head up to Raw or SmackDown, but for some reason it just hasn't happened. A genuine underdog talent that is so easy to get behind with a likeable persona which doesn't seem so different from real life. Roxanne would easily get over on the main roster if given time, not just short, hey, she's here Rumble appearances. She would be such an easy wrestler to have start at the bottom and work her way to the top without us losing any form of realism. If you can really say there's any form of realism in wrestling? Just like Bron Breakker, Roxanne is young, where you can have her make an impact over the many years and be one of the top stars in the women's division. Bring Roxana Perez up, Papa H. We've been waiting too long. Obi Femi. Oba bloody Femi. What a start this young man has had, making his name dominating each opponent through the NXT Breakout Tournament and becoming a fan favourite to becoming the current North American champion. It's rare we really see anybody grow at the pace of Obi Femi, but it's perfectly justified. He has the old school WWE big sweaty man look, a character that fits perfectly and can go in the ring. Much like Bron Breakker, he has been a standout, and as he is very early in his wrestling career, he can only get better. It would be a couple of years until we see him on the main roster unless he grows at an unheard of pace, but when he does come up, hopefully Triple H understands the talent he has and books him to be a monster, but not in the style of old. The world is Obi Femi's oyster at the moment, and if he keeps up with it, he's a WrestleMania main eventer. Ilia Dragonov. Well, here he is. The comments keep mentioning Ilia Dragonov, so now you have the Tsar in a video, and it's for obvious reasons. Ilia needs to get on the main roster soon and be treated like the top tier talent he is. We have been speaking about Dragonov for years, whether it was his blinder with Gunther in NXT UK or his war with Carmelo Hayes in NXT. We need that unreal match on the main roster. Obviously, the perfect position to bring him up is opposite Gunther to reignite their fire. Ilia already has the star power needed to smoothly move and continue rising without a hitch on either Raw or SmackDown. A couple of world titles will be in sight too. Rollins, Logan, Owens, McIntyre, all these matches would bang. Hopefully it's sooner than later we see Ilia come up to the main roster. It would fill a hole we are definitely missing in the main WWE brands. And they were 8 NXT superstars who would thrive on the main roster, and I did promise you a shout out, so this is who it is. Baron Corbin. I wouldn't really say Big Baldy Baron coming back to Raw or SmackDown is a call up, but regardless, his work on NXT recently has been sublime and he seems to have found himself. Bring up this version of Corbin and he will do well. So thank you very much for watching. Which NXT superstars do you think would do well on Raw or SmackDown? Please leave them down in the comments. I would love to hear who you think. Also remember to like the video and hit subscribe for more content on this channel. I am Toby, this is the main event, and I will see you soon.